Hello and welcome to this month's RV podcast. It's been quite a while since we had the last one because everyone was busy or not feeling it. But this month we are feeling it. With me today is Witchley.
What's up?
And Alex.
Hello.
And since January, quite a lot has happened, understandably.
Yeah, monthly podcast, more like fucking quarterly.
That gives people more stuff to listen to, right? Got more things to cover.
Well, at least we won't run out of stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
For the next couple hours. Going for a new record. I believe the longest one was 4 to 5 minutes or so, which was also the one that had the least amount of topics, so who knows really how long this one's gonna be.
Yeah. So what's the first topic on the list?
The first thing is Whitedoom's 1v1 tourney, because the second one was quite packed with a lot of people.
Absolutely. Even the first one already had quite a lot of people, but now that people got a bit, got to know a bit and see all the people competing, just even more joined. And I believe there was a League A through F, which all had around 6, 7, 5 people. So
a lot
really
dropped out, though.
Sorry?
A lot ended up dropping out.
That's true.
Someone even dropped out of the highest freaking league, which was, I don't know.
2 people dropped out of the Champions League.
2?
Yeah.
I believe it was Andor and someone else.
We here at League A though, no dropouts.
Let's not talk about League A, because you both beat me at that one.
Yes, but Witchley, you were the only person one of only 2 people to have taken a map off of me.
Yes,
that's true.
I didn't do that.
And it was
recently died.
I almost got 2 out of you, but unfortunately you managed to bump me into a corner at the last turn. Oh well, not like
that
was.
That was probably the closest match I've had in the tourney.
Yeah,
I think
the Champions League
if Alex
winner.
I think if Alex had more than like 2 hours of sleep, he probably would have given me a close match as well.
Yeah, and like that match was like right at the end of my hiatus, so I still was like very rusty.
Alright. Oh well, still. You came second, right? In
yep,
League A,
I did come second. Vlad came third. This is League A, by the way. There's still a league above that. It's just that we're all in League A.
I was
in the Champions League,
last
top
time.
league, Victora actually won, so he is the top champion of the 1v1 league.
Right. Deserved,
Highest
probably.
at the top. I mean, yeah, he's one of the best.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
So, with that, the second season ending, of course, Whitedoom is going to host a third one. So, if you'd like to join, if this sounds like fun, you can always send him a PM. Everyone is welcome, as is, you can clearly see by the amount of players currently in it. So, as for the qualifiers, so basically because whenever you join for the first time, you have to do a bunch of qualifiers to see what season, or rather, what league you belong in. And this time, the tracks that you have to drive are Spaveled through, the Gorge and Airship Fortress. So, better start preparing those if you're planning on joining.
Yep. The Gorge and Airship Fortress are a bit of a suspect picks in my opinion, but
well, last time we had both the Crash Team Racing tracks. I'd argue those are far worse than what we're having now.
Honestly, these qualifier tracks are a lot easier to be consistent on and are a much truer indication of which league you belong in, because I feel like I was robbed the last league, because the qualifier tracks last stage were freaking Biohazard Factory, Palm Marsh,
exactly,
and Petrovolt.
Well, Petrovolt's fine, but Palm Marsh and
fine.
Palm Marsh and Biohazard were not that great.
Palm Marsh really ruined me.
Yeah.
I think that's why I ended up in League A rather than the Champions League.
Yeah, and speaking of Palm Marsh, we can go right to our next topic. Actually, we'll skip one, but we'll go back to that later. Palm Marsh is gone from the main pack. Adios.
Right, rip. I'm not sure if anyone will really miss it. To be honest, it looks alright, but yeah, of course, especially that little bridge section at the end is just not suited for 16-person races.
Yeah, and near the beginning, like below those palm trees, like the little turd droplets.
Right.
Very fun.
Exactly.
It's always been an absolute mess online.
Also, it's fucking ugly.
I think they look alright, decent. They're not really shaded very well. Perhaps that's it.
The colours pop a bit too much.
Yeah, that's true. There is a new Crash Team Racing being released, right? I'm wondering if they're gonna be using those tracks.
The thing is, I've never seen a single mention of these two tracks. Like, I've looked online to see if there's any evidence of these two tracks being unused in Crash Team Racing. I've seen nothing.
Oh, that's so weird.
CTR is
I'm
Crash
wondering-
Team Racing?
Yeah, that's CTR.
How did I never make that connection?
Yeah, I was really late for that as well. Indeed. That's why they look... Because, like, you know, they obviously look like they don't belong in Revolt, but they have sort of a continuous theme. So that's just Crash Team Racing, apparently, which I never played. Perhaps if I did...
But I've never seen any, in-game footage of it in the actual original game. I've never seen any evidence of these tracks existing in the game in any shape or form.
How weird.
So I'm wondering where Killer Wheels got his info from. Maybe he has an insight in Naughty Dogs.
Who knows?
Yep.
Secret developer. New human.
Other changes to the track collection involves camera nodes for Lunar, Holiday Camp and Sakura, which, from what I've seen, are pretty nice.
My Little Mexican, if I'm not mistaken. Those are very nice, very welcome change. It's really annoying when the camera... That's just a really odd feature of Revolt. When there are no camera nodes, the camera just drops and you're just staring at the wall for like 15 seconds.
Yeah, at the
those
end
are
of
just-
Sakura
those are just-
was really bad. That was always noticeable because it was right at the end.
Exactly.
Those were just Humans tracks. I don't know what he did with his camera nodes, but they were bugged for some reason. But at least Lil Mexican went out of his way and made some camera nodes for them. He seems to very much like when the camera follows the car, because he used a lot of those in these
Yeah,
tracks.
well, to be fair, Sakura has a lot of open straights, so I guess in that case it does do work quite well.
Yeah, it works out.
Yep.
I like the straightaway in Holiday Camp where it's literally just, following the car. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently there was an update to Rooftop Chase, but I can't think off the top of my head what it could be.
Me neither.
Vic mentioned it a while back. I know for Toy Soldiers a reverse mode was added, which we raced yesterday.
It was fun actually.
Right, because that one also has, like the Rooftop Chase first version, that's Slippery Surface, right? Is that a bit manageable?
It's yesterday when we raced online, the opinion on it was a bit divisive because
I can see why people would dislike it.
It's not the same. It's not the same as Rooftop Chase, where it's a bit more open.
Ah, right.
And you have more room for error. Toy Soldiers is a lot bumpier and narrower,
Yeah.
so and also a lot shorter than the regular version.
Oh, right, it skips the that little section in the house where you go up and back, right?
Skips the
right.
oncoming traffic part, which is all good in my book.
Always welcome.
That's a good. Yeah, personally, it's not too bad. Just don't drive a rear-wheel drive car in it, I guess. Or if you do, be very careful. Other updates to the track collection, well, the only one left to mention is White Rose Chapel. It now has plenty more power-ups than it did before, so you can actually have a race on
that's
it
really the only thing it was needing.
with power-ups.
It was like kind of like an RV Temple situation. Other updates to packs include car skins.
Right, quite a lot of them, right?
22 with 4 updates. One of which was Lil Jon.
Yes,
who
you
was
look at it.
in the pack the entire time. It just had the wrong file name.
Oh, really? Oh, damn.
Yes.
That's unfortunate.
I've been bugging Vic about it forever now. And it just was in there the entire time.
Oh well. Now it's in its righteous place.
Yep.
Quite a lot of skins added, but there's still quite a lot more to add if you look at the skins channel, because I've been clearing the backlog of that, removing anything that I didn't have enough votes or was already added. So there's like 20 to 30 odd skins left to still look at and possibly add. So that's, there's a ton there. And then those 4 updates involve some fixes to, I think I recall which ones they were. I think one of them was a skin for Acclaim F1, and then a couple more for Solaire CX4.
Yeah.
Right, because of course the Super Pros, I believe
That's
also
the big
got,
one.
Yeah, indeed. So in case you're not familiar with them yet, that's basically, well, as the name suggests, the class above the regular pros. Not official class, but entirely community made in this case. Now, there has been quite some work in trying to balance everything here, since, of course, you don't really have anything to go on from the regular stock game, so it's really up to us how we want these cars to handle. Now, personally, I haven't really been too active in this, but I believe, Steph, you did host quite some test sessions, right?
Yeah. So initially, when the idea was first thrown around, we were like, oh, prototype FX77 is clearly much faster than the rest. Let's make everything around that car. But then we realized, oh, every other car we made is so much slower than prototype. So let's freaking absolutely slaughter prototype's performance. Then a couple of more Super Pros were added. This was while I was very much inactive. The initial Super Pro pack was constructed while I was very inactive as well. And one of the cars in the pack was Nova. And after trying that, I realised that that's the kind of performance you want to aim for. It's not perfect, it's not, super broken in terms of handling. It's just faster than a pro.
Right.
Convincingly.
So kind of looking where you want to put the pivots of, alright, this is an example of a good Super Pro. We're going to balance everything around this car instead of just, continuously going, oh, this one is too strong, nerf it, this one is now too weak, buff it. You're just kind of chasing around some wild goose.
Yeah, I've heard that Nova's parameters are a bit simple, because apparently they might be based off of Cougar, but just with 4-wheel drive and the offsets changed. But what matters is the fact that its pace is what I'm after in a Super Pro car.
Yeah.
And there were 2 cars initially that were so much better than Nova. UVGS and Alter Ego. So those ended up being those end up being a bit detuned to be competitive.
Right, I can imagine that everyone just gravitates toward those 2 during every test session in that case. So then you don't really get any real valid test results either.
Well, funny thing, in the first test session, UVGS blew everything out of the water, so in the second, it was banned. And in that one, Alter Ego blew everything out of the water. And after that one, both UVGS and Alter Ego were banned, and then we had a fun time.
Right.
So
well,
then the rebalances happened.
Yeah, I'm glad at least the problem was found in that case.
And now quite a lot of cars have been buffed, so they can keep up the pace with the likes of Nova, UVGS and Alter Ego in their current forms, like Identity X, Kinkaiju, Starmac,
right.
things like that. And like there are a lot of updates in this. Well, Super Pro update.
Yeah, of course.
10 cars.
If anyone is listening to this and is thinking, hey, I'd like to make a Super Pro car, well, of course it's still an ongoing project, and even of course with the regular packs, things like pros and amateurs also get updates, but especially Super Pros is a very volatile class right now. So if you'd like to make a car for it, of course you'll be welcome to.
And hey, due to the lack of Super Pros, you can't have a better chance of getting in. Wink, wink, knock, knock.
Exactly.
Yeah, the class is in a bit of a flux, so now's the best chance to make stuff for it before it's
if you
more
want to make
established.
an impact, do it now.
Yep.
Besides the 10, besides the changes to 10 cars parameters to make them more balanced, we've had 4 new additions. P4 Super, which is a lemonade on wheels. Celsius Turbo, which is just a rebadge of Skama's Celica Pikes Peak. We have Tesseract, which was buffed to be a genuine Super Pro. Because it was a bit slow on its own.
Yeah, originally it was kind of in limbo between Pro and Super Pro, from what I've heard.
And I
believe it was in the bonus Pro pack.
And I'd rather not have things in limbo. I'd rather be them belonging in the class.
Right.
So I made it a bit faster. But the handling should still be essentially the same as before. And then we have Sega.
The one and only.
It's such a beautiful car to drive.
It's very fun. Especially if you get everyone else to drive it.
On Rooftops Chase.
That was a good one.
Oh yeah. Unfortunately, some cars had to be Thanos snapped out of existence. Cherry Top was just an alter ego with a police siren slapped onto it. Nimbo Ace was weird and was the least competitive car in the class. Skullcross didn't look like it fit in well with the rest of the pack.
It looked really ugly.
And Vulcan Champion, it was just a Vulcan, a faster Vulcan that's remodeled.
Right,
but
I do believe
if it's given its own identity, like
exactly.
the other remodels and repaints, it is welcome back in, because honestly, it is a good looking car. It's not nice to have to remove these kinds of cars, but we are always open to them being re-added in a different way, kind of like Celsius Turbo.
Yeah, I believe I already heard talks of giving it an original paint job, so it'll probably be back soon. Yeah.
Another thing that this was mainly Vic that worked on this. The music collection, we've revised the music that plays during custom tracks.
Hello, let me barge in and say a few things about that.
Ah, how convenient.
So, as some of you may know, RVGL recently got a new feature which allows custom tracks to play more than one song, and that's without Redbook. It's a simple system, just drag all the tracks into one folder and make the track actually play from that whole folder. So what I did was to try to organize each song by feel, so to speak. For example, we have a few tracks that feel more sci-fi or futuristic. We have a few that are more classic in the same original Revolt style, like ZetaSphere's songs, for example. And I also try to assign each folder with those feels based on what seemed to fit most for each track. So, unfortunately, I also rushed it a bit. So we still have quite a few songs to add, and it's probably not the best fit for each track. But that's the idea that I'm going for with the pack.
It's pretty good. I've noticed the difference in a lot of tracks. You know, it's always nice hearing more than one song on a track, which isn't something that's been a thing for nearly 20 years.
Right, and I believe there is still an active topic on the forum where people are submitting their own self-made songs, so I'm sure that as time goes on, more new and original tracks will be added, so I'm quite looking forward to it.
Yeah, we actually just got a new song for Sakura, and it's really good, so I'm already prepared it for the next update, so go ahead and
mentioned
submit.
That he was, I believe ZetaSphere already made a song for Sakura, but of course, since you mentioned that now tracks can have multiple songs, we can just use both.
Yep.
But here's the thing, have Vic and I have listened to it, but have you two listened to Ageless?
I have not.
No, I haven't listened to any of the soundtrack project actually.
You might want to download the music pack and listen to Ageless, the song that plays on Yabba Dabba Doo.
Oh
boy.
That promises something, now I'm really curious.
It is magnifique. Future pack updates are likely. There's still a ton to add, as Vic and I and the rest of us have mentioned. When we'll add these, hopefully not... shouldn't be too long before the next update. It's going to be it'll be less than a month before you see a new update, for sure.
Yeah, we've had a long draw of updates, but now they're back, trickling in.
Right,
so... It was like nearly half a year or something, quite a lot.
Yeah, exactly. Quite a while, just nothing, but oh well. Right now we're indeed in a bit of a content shower. So, on the topic of packs, we're actually gonna go a bit back to how we originally mentioned Whitedoom's tournaments. Now, Whitedoom is not the only one that is holding a tournament right now, because Kiwi is in fact also doing this with his RVGL Ladder. Now, where Whitedoom is just, although very impressive with the amount of people that participate in it, Kiwi has in fact done an extreme amount of work with setting up a website and keeping all these scores and all these achievements basically that you can gain by joining his sessions. And the first season has in fact already ended. I believe it started and ended between the previous podcast and now, so this will actually be the first time you hear of it. But yeah, it has ended and a winner has been announced. Now, another thing that's special about Kiwi's competition is that there are actually prizes to be won by winning a season. I believe the first prize was a personalized t-shirt that has your name on it and like an RVGL logo. To be honest, I can't really remember what the second and third prize was. I believe it was something like Steam currency or
gift
something.
Cards.
Sorry?
Gift cards.
Right, yes.
Something like that.
Indeed, I believe it was something like that. Now, I just got the ladder here right now, and it seems, I hope I pronounced this correctly, Aved came first. To be honest, this might be the first time I read this name. Do any of you guys know him?
Nope.
Right, so he just came out of nowhere and just instantly won this tournament.
They came out, yeah. Well, to be fair, Athid might have won, but if Zipper was there for the final session,
right,
he could have contested Athid for the win.
No, actually, I believe after Zipper, because indeed, like Seth just mentioned, he missed the final session after it was rescheduled, and after that he left the server. However, I believe Hookie actually calculated the score he would have needed to beat Effet, and it was something impossible, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, but that presumes that Athid's score remains the same as it was at the end of the session.
Yes.
If he had been in the session with Athid, Athid would not have done so well.
Well,
right.
Maybe.
But
the last session was Athid's best, so who knows? Affet still might have taken it, but it still sucks for Zipper to have his chance taken away by an miscommunicated rescheduling.
Yep, indeed. But fortunately, just like Whitedoom is hosting a new season for his competition, Kiwi has also started the second season, so in this case...
Actually, I think it's a case of he's hosting ladder races, but it's not counting towards any season. I think I recall him mentioning that.
Yes.
The second season is only starting in autumn.
Yes, the next season is the autumn season. Right now we're just doing in between for the running ladder.
Oh, right.
Every single race counts that you've ever done.
Yes. So in this case, it is coming
so
up.
it's kind of like an off-season.
I believe that one also still has prizes, so again, I've said this a lot, but if you would like to join that, go ahead and join it. I believe it just... well, you don't even need to sign up for it, just whenever Kiwi posts something in lobbies, just go to the IP, join, you're automatically in.
Yes, the ladder races are also inside the weekly schedule you can find in the announcements channel, so you can also look there.
Exactly. Now, there is something a bit special going on. Originally I made the connection between this topic and the previous, because we were talking about packs. Now, this is the reason why I made that connection, because Kiwi has in fact released his own pack containing a bunch of content that he'll be using in his session that is not in the IO packs. Now, it is compatible with the IO packs, so if you're planning on joining, you don't need to create a separate install or anything. You can just unzip it over your regular online install and it should all be fine. But yeah, in this case it's just some slightly more outlandish cars, I believe. This should not be a problem, since he mostly does competitive sessions where everyone is driving the same car. So, you know, if you're all driving some car that handles completely whack, then in that case it's just a challenge instead of just a straight up disadvantage. So yeah, check it out if you're interested.
Yes, there's a lot of overlap between the two packs, but there are a few outliers. Also, something that the RVGL Plus pack contains is a few graphical updates for a few tracks.
Right, yes.
Mostly thumbnails on tracks where it doesn't show the track itself, like Sakura, Helios, Luna, that sort of thing. Another graphical update, a very significant one, I actually don't know if it's in the main pack or not, but I know it is in RVGL Plus, is on Sakura, where the trees and such look a lot better.
Yeah, that's actually an amazing change. He didn't change any of the models, but just put in some nicer textures, and it's just completely night and day how it looks. I believe he also got a new skybox, it looks really nice. So just some slight graphical updates. Now, yeah. He did some graphical updates for some tracks, but currently, and this is actually not yet an RVGL Plus, but this is something he's working on right now, and that is the fact that he is basically creating some new Redux versions of older tracks. So I believe currently he's working on Whole Breach 3, which is looking really good. So this, to be honest, I know a lot of people don't really like the track, but it has always been one of my favorites. And now he's actually taking away some of those frustrations that make people dislike it, such as
yes.
those read ramps that are suddenly for no reason under a jump.
Yeah. Whole Breach 3 is one of those tracks that is main pack material, but it has a few issues that are just so critical that you can't overlook them.
Exactly.
And I'm really glad that he's going around fixing them and giving it some more polish all around.
Yep, so hopefully
it won't just be like collision fixes and such.
Yeah, actually graphical
updates
things as well.
Too, yeah.
And race line updates, getting rid of that really confusing tree crossroads section at the launch pad.
Yes, and the R version.
Right, exactly. So for that he has to change the race line a little bit, because of course there are a lot of drop downs and such, but he'll probably manage to find some good solutions to that. I'm really looking forward to it myself, so hopefully you should be seeing that in the pack soon.
And on the topic of fixing up old tracks, we have Gotele fixing up an old favourite with the single most insane shading I've ever seen, Isla Verde.
It looks absolutely amazing. I really because like people were saying, is that even the same track? And to be honest, that wasn't even a joke. It actually looked insanely good with that new shading. So
Yes.
basically,
The issue is the difference is so massive.
yeah, exactly.
I always had big problems with Isla Verde just because of how ugly it looked in my eyes. But with these shadows, it's just actually good looking now.
Yeah, it's so weird how just such a simple change, or maybe perhaps not really simple, but it's one thing that brings it from looking absolutely ugly to absolutely amazing. So I believe how he's done it is basically creating a giant mesh that lays over the floor, and literally just baking through Blender with some sun that somewhat lines up with the skybox, and just baking a shadow onto it. Of course, utilizing the more amount of textures you can use in RVGL now. So originally it was 9, which I believe Ageless Verde all used. But since now you can use up to 64 textures, it's just using a 10th texture slot for some huge texture that covers the entire floor. It's all as shadows. So yeah, luckily with this kind of technology we now have in RVGL, we can make these kinds of changes, which look really good.
We can rebuild these tracks. We have the technology.
Exactly.
We do have the technology. Wondering about the file size and load-in times though.
Yeah, that's a bit of a shame, but I'm sure.
I'm certain the loading times will be better than DNI Pro card. DNI Pro card. that new track that released on RVGL, it literally takes like almost a minute to load for me.
Damn.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, some people have already like a minute with Ranch, so...
Yeah, and, oh man, Ranch takes so long to load. Well, try the Neat Pro cards.
Yeah, but if the new Isla Verde really is like significantly worse than Ranch in loading times, it is gonna be a shame.
Yeah, I doubt that's the case, because I think even so, it's like the floor vertices all got doubled, since you need separate for the floor itself and the shadow. But even with that, I doubt it's even half the amount of bodies you have on Ranch itself.
Well,
and let's not forget, he's still in the process of optimizing the whole thing,
exactly.
So it may not be as bad.
Yeah, it could... We'll see. We'll see.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Speaking of classics, another classic of ours is returning later this month.
Right.
All's Fair 6.
Finally.
Oh, baby!
So, did you guys already have something?
Yes. I have 2 things actually, and a second driver for my second thing.
Ah, nice.
Alex was actually the very first to submit a car, so he's very excited about it.
You already have it ready or not?
Yeah, I'm probably just gonna wait until the last day again. It seems that's when I'm the most creative.
And throw together some insane beluga whale that just absolutely dominates the rest of the field.
I'm really hoping that I suggested on the forum, or basically I asked for some extra features to be implemented for cars. So things like, more than 4 wheels, which you can already kind of fake right now, but not really. Stuff like particle emitters or cars, that would be fun. If any of those get added, then I can finish my car. I already have everything finished, except that I need those technical things to actually implement it. So I really hope that happens. In that case, I can just join. Otherwise, I have to think of something else. I hope I'm creative enough for that.
You probably have to think of something else then, because I don't know.
Yeah,
it's a lot to ask in like, 2 weeks? 1 week? 2 weeks?
Exactly. I hope.
Well, for me, I just got struck by inspiration and went to work. And then I got struck to inspiration again and got someone else to join.
See, I'm still thinking of what to aim for, because I have 2 philosophies. One is just building upon the last car I entered, and another one is something else. So I'm still deciding on what to do.
I guess you're not
going
going
to
to
the last
spoil
car you
something
entered
else.
just stacked on top of each other.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah, that joke's
No,
already been done.
we don't talk about that. I'm referring to the trans flag on wheels.
Yeah, just stack that. 2 trans flags on wheels.
So what you're saying is make a rotor variant of it.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Have we actually talked about the podcast, about Allsphere on the podcast?
Nope, because, Allsphere 5 happened before we brought up the idea of having a podcast again. We kept on mentioning Allsphere 6 being pushed and delayed in the later months of the year. But now we're actually talking about it because it's actually happening.
Yeah.
There's an actual concrete date.
I figure we could give a short introduction on what it is, because there might be a few people out there who don't actually know about it.
Alright, sounds good.
Where to start? It's a bit of a wacky competition with very few rules. It used to have no rules, but unfortunately we have to implement some of them to actually make it more enjoyable. For example, there are no speed limits. You can make your car as fast as you want, and so on. It kind of became a tradition to make a lot of original wacky designs for the car you are entering the contest with. And that's why we were discussing what we were discussing earlier. But if you want to participate, you don't have to make your own car. You could very well take Toyota and say that's your car, but please don't.
Yeah. You could also just ask someone else to make a car. I know Shara has I think 2 more cars lying around. Just ask Shara for one. If you want to, but don't make a car.
Alternatively, you could grab Toyota and just turn it into a sphere of fed bursts. Actually, don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. Actually, it wasn't a sphere. It was a cylinder.
It was like 10 gajillion cylinders enveloping the entire track.
Yes, I took things a bit too far.
Exactly, fair enough for Allsphere, I'd say.
Yes.
It was done before, and although it sounds great on paper, as Alex here can attest to, the worst pain will be the car creator.
Yes. Not being able to see anything with a face full of dust was quite an interesting experience, I must admit.
I'm sure you get some very quick lap times. It was funny for the first
few tracks. At the end, I was not that happy anymore. So if you make a car, make sure you'll be able to see the track.
And make sure you enjoy the car you drive.
Yes, we've had a few of those as well. Most notably, Little Mexican's fucking disaster on wheels, which could not drive in a straight line and blasted off into sunset at the slightest tap of the accelerate button.
Of course, you can take no speed limits a bit too far, I guess.
It was a very silly.
In the end, though, it's just a fun competition, so you don't have to be very diligent in making your car super competitive or anything.
Yes.
There are a couple of stipulations. Your car must not break the game.
Yeah.
So, something like a negative axle friction or extreme suspension is not allowed, because if it crashes other people's games, that's no good. You can't modify your tracks, you cannot modify your car in between tracks either.
You also have to be careful, because you can accidentally make your car crash the game, like I did with an egg duck that actually just rolls around, and for some reason the game doesn't like it and just crashes. So make sure you test it a bit before you actually submit it.
Yeah.
And also, once you submit your car, you cannot change it any further, because that if you change it every 5 minutes and send it to us, that becomes a bit of a nightmare to manage.
Yeah.
Big changes were added for Allsphere 5, one of which was obviously the fact that there were custom engine sounds available and a lot of people made the most out of it.
I did it all for the Nookie.
The Nookie.
So I could get that cookie.
We had that. We had Vic's beautiful Flesh God Apocalypse. We had Marv's Kamikaze from Serious Sam.
That's one of the most beautiful.
Yeah.
We had Shara's car sound like an anime girl. And other people had custom engine sounds, but they were just, custom engine sounds. So I'm sure that will be looked into even more by car creators this time around.
Yes, I can confirm that my creations have a custom engine sound. Whether that's a good or bad thing, I'll leave that up for you to decide.
Another thing added for Allsphere 5, which will continue into Allsphere 6, is the fact that the winner isn't just decided by who's the most competitive, it's also decided by voting on which car was the prettiest and which car was the most innovative. In Allsphere 5, FCG's car was voted the prettiest, while Vic's Beluga Whale, was voted the most innovative, because it is the most innovative way we've ever seen someone win races in Allsphere so consistently.
Also, it had like that outline going on, which was really cool.
Yeah, that was pretty cool, considering you made that in like 2 hours or something.
Yeah, as usual, it's all an accident that happened on the night before the actual event.
Yeah, all of those will continue on into Allsphere 6 later this month, and a track list will be announced very soon, because it is very close to the Allsphere weekend, so I really have to try and construct a fresh track list like the last time.
Yes, that's another big difference from 4 to 5, is a big, juicy, fresh, and nutty track list.
Oh boy.
And you can expect the exact same level of freshness and this time around as well.
Yep.
Now then, all the main topics were discussed. We have some questions left over from January and February. The leftover question from January, which we didn't pick up on when we made the January podcast, was how does the staff plan to update the pack contents in the future, seeing that there is a significant number of suggestions that make it difficult to know everything? Well, personally, I've started clearing the backlog of the skins channel, which in the long run will help a huge amount in it'll help a huge amount for the people who manage the skin pack to look at what needs adding or what needs looking at. And the same is probably needed for the actual suggestions channel as well, because the backlog of that dates back to 2017.
Yeah, that channel is a bit of a mess right now, unfortunately. Also with it being mixed with, of course, server and IO suggestions and pack suggestions is a bit messy. So I believe, Vic, you mentioned you wanted to create a separate part of the forum for it, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure where we're going to with that anymore, but I will create a section on the forum for the IO packs to actually have the suggestions more organized, but I think we're going to still make it possible to submit the suggestions via Discord first.
Alright. Perhaps through a separate channel or also through suggestions like this right now?
Yeah, it could be just that we'll transfer each suggestion that gets enough votes to the forum, so we actually have them organized there, but we'll see. It's not set in stone yet.
As we cleared the backlog, mostly me, as we cleared the backlog of the suggestions,
Yeah.
It'll be a lot easier to keep track of what needs adding and what doesn't, because there were so many instances where Vic 4, he added everything to a pack update, and then after he updated it, a couple hours later, he'd get pings on the server like, hey, why didn't you add this? Oh, you missed that. Oh, what about this fix? So clearing the backlog will eliminate that happening a lot more often.
I think a good solution would be to just look at every suggestion that's older than a month and just delete them, take a note if they have enough or not.
Yeah.
Just go.
That's what I've been doing with skins. Obviously, in older skins with enough votes, I'm keeping there so that the person who organizes the skin pack can have a look at them, because clearly they didn't.
No, actually, about the actual question, it kind of depends on each pack. For example, the skins pack, which we just talked about, is it's a lot easier to get skins in. If they get enough votes, there's not a whole lot of discussion if it's going to get in or not. So we usually just throw anything that gets over 10 votes in total, with the negative ones counted as well. On the other hand, the most complex pack right now is the car pack, because there's so many of them and so many opinions to keep track of that we can't afford to just throw in every single car that gets enough votes, because there's a lot of them. So this is also why it's taking a while to update it, because what I intend to is to also ask various people what they think their final verdict would be for each single car. So obviously that's going to take a while, and alongside a lot of discussion that is hopefully going to go on in the RV workshop, which anyone is free to join, by the way.
Right, that reminds me...
Also, one thing I wanted to note is that just some people... I feel like some people just vote for anything to go in, because Eichenwald Village, which is my second most biggest disaster as a track maker, got a significant amount of votes to go in at one point, and that made me very sad. So that's another thing to consider.
Yeah, when you vote, try not to vote just on the picture of, the preview image. If you can, and if you have the time, take the car or track, try it out for a ride and see if you notice any issues with it, or if you just think it's worth adding anyway.
I believe Skarma was actually trying to do something about that with that project he's been working on. So, in case you're not familiar, basically what he's trying to do is create a bit more of a, really a professional test environment where every car that is considered for the pack actually gets compared and tested against the cars that are already in it and stock cars, so you can actually get a really good idea of the performance and whether it actually fits the track already the car pack before it is added. He's done quite a lot of work on that by now, I believe. He has been keeping track of all the records on time trials to get an accurate picture of the performance of several cars. I believe he's going to host test sessions soon for the new cars that are proposed. So that's something to look out for. I believe he's really going to put a lot of work into that.
So essentially what I plan on doing with the Super Pro pack, just on a much larger scale.
Yeah, exactly.
Sounds good. Right, so there is one question from, this was a forum called February Podcast Questions, and obviously the February podcast didn't happen. A March podcast didn't happen, but there were some questions here. One question is a meme. Another question, I can't decipher what it means. The first question, though, actually makes sense. When did you first find out about RV?
Ooh, so more of a personal question. Well, I guess I'll start. I believe one day my dad just came home from work when I was like 4 or something. And now I was born in 1999, so I'm just as old as the game. So at that point, the game was already 4 years old as well. And he just got I believe it was an illegal copy from one of his colleagues who said, well, I know your son likes racing games, because I did at the time. I really enjoyed Trackmania and Lego Racers and stuff like that. So here you go, have fun, try that. And yeah, at that point I did really like it, so played it a lot. Then forgot about it, then started playing it again, found the server. That's how I got here. I believe I've never actually owned a legitimate copy of Revolt. I believe I've only had illegal copies. That's a bit of a shame. I'd like to support them, but now they're dead, so unfortunately I can't.
Yeah, I can say the same thing. I've also never had a legal copy. My first one also was illegal.
Yeah.
It was very soon after the game came out. I was 9 years old at the time, 1999. We also had like a PlayStation 1, I believe, with pirated games. And yeah, that's just, well, my dad really knew his way around computers and just was like, hey, free games, cool. So that's how I got into the game, and then I got out of the game because, well, I grew up and just moved away from it. Then during my teenage years, I found the game again, got a bit into custom content, stuff like the very old classics like Petrovolt, Sakura, those kinds of things. And then I grew out of the game again, and then I grew into the game again in like 2014. And I've been playing it ever since.
I only had my first run in the game in 2006. When a friend was playing it for like a couple minutes, then switched off of it and played something else. I think I visited him for a couple hours or something, I don't know. But I remember in 2007 he gave me a copy of it. I won't say whether it was pirated or not. But yeah, I tried it out, I liked it. I was horrible at it. He was like, hey, try this car, it's Vulcan Turbo. So I was actually half competent at racing against a rookie AI. And then I found out about the track editor and made a ton of horrid tracks in the track editor. And the rest is history. I've been on and off with the game for a couple of years. I remember in 2010 I was basically non-existent. 2012 and 2013 I was non-existent for reasons beyond my control. And then since 2014 I've been around on and off, but not as severely as in the past. I've always been around in some way, shape or form.
Unfortunately, I can't remember when I first found out about the game, but it was surely somewhere around 2000, 2004. I was still a young kid back then, and I thought my father got the game for me, probably in a similar ways like with Chili and Alex. And
the entire staff team has only owned illegal copies of Revolt. That's a bit of a revelation.
And yeah, I played it a bit and I forgot about it because probably the computer was broken at some point, so I had to start over. And as a kid, I obviously didn't know how to get the games again. Until somewhere around 2008 when a friend sent me the game and I got straight into modding by making Hypersonic really fast and naming it Victor.
Very cool. Well, no wonder that Revolt never really got a proper sequel since everyone pirated it.
Exactly, shit. We're the cause. We killed Revolt.
Well, it was our parents, it's not us.
Exactly. Yeah, no, we're all good. We're not to blame.
We're all good, except that we, doing it right now, but...
Yeah, the thing is, when I got into the game, it was you couldn't really acquire the game. You couldn't get it anywhere, so...
Yeah, well, right now it's the same.
Yep, fortunately.
So, now we're excused.
You really can't. Yeah, there aren't any other questions. I believe that is it for this month's podcast then.
Alright.
Is there anything y'all want to say to close things out?
Stay hydrated, kids. Do your homework, stay in school.
Keep existing.
Play lots
Don't
of
die.
Breakbeat.
Just don't die. Just click on their heads.
We are on a running streak at making the best conclusions ever.
Yes.
Thank you everyone for joining us, and see you next time.
See ya.
Goodbye. Don't die.
So yeah.